Greetings, all. It is March 4th, 2025. As you can see, the market has been in rough shape recently with the fear and greed index sitting at 15, which is obviously extreme fear. Actually, this is going to be the subject of the video, this fear and greed index, because I've been looking for indicators for profit taking strategy, trying to time some of the market tops and when it's a good time to enter the market. I'm sure you all have seen this before. Now, I know some people are going to say, well, obviously, yeah, you sell when the market's high, you buy when the market's low. Well, yeah, okay, obviously. I wouldn't be making this video, though, if there weren't such strong correlations. I'm going to show you these data points because the alignment with this one in particular is absolutely remarkable as far as it being a leading indicator, at least in this current market cycle, really dating back to 2021. This is the alternative.me/crypto/fear and greed index. I'm going to have it linked below. They all are a little bit different. So this one in particular, they have different weights on some of these different things. So it takes in consideration volatility, market momentum and volume, social media, Bitcoin dominance, and Google trends. So you'll find if you go to one on like coinmarketcap.com, it's going to be slightly different than the Binance one. It's going to be slightly different than this one. If you look at the value index on the left, the higher up it is, the more greed there is in the market. And the lower, the more fear there is in the market. What I've found, looking at these different values, once you hit above an 80, that's a pretty clear sign that the market's getting overheated, particularly above 90, which we don't normally stay there very long. You can see we had a period back in late 2020 into 2021 where it was. But I think really from 2021 on is when we really started seeing a strong correlation with this chart and it being a leading indicator of local tops and bottoms. So to give you a couple examples here, we had back in really, right around Thanksgiving, I'd say, we hit from 90, which was a clear indicator, and even above 80 in late November. And what I'm seeing is that it's like 2 weeks, generally 1 to 2 weeks after we see these numbers hit, that the market has been finding tops. So we look. This recent top happened right around December 8th on the crypto market cap. Again, roughly 2 weeks prior, the fear and greed index triggering above that 80 and above that 90 there. If you remember back in 2024, in the spring of 2024, right towards the middle to end of March, is when we saw the market top out. Lo and behold, March, in the middle of March is when we saw the fear and greed index again trigger above those levels. So it was once again a leading indicator. Even if we go back, to November of 2021, it marked the top of this market cycle. Again, a leading indicator that we were topping out. So take that for what it is. I personally developed a strategy I'm going to utilize moving forward. I'm going to test out about being way more aggressive after I see these triggers hit in the week or two to follow. In my different positions when they have pumps, being a lot more aggressive about moving into stable coins and exercising a lot more patience. And waiting for some really solid buying opportunities. And that's really difficult to do in this industry. But based on these findings, I think it's going to work out pretty well. Granted, things continue on as what we've seen. Because if you look back, getting below a 30, especially below a 20 on the fear index, has been a really good indicator that it's a good time to re-enter the market or expand your positions. So back here on August 6th, we saw it get down to a 17. Again, that is incredible fear in the market. If you remember, right around then is, in August, we started seeing these dips. So really late August into September, a couple weeks after that, that's when that Japan carry trade unwound. And we saw some incredible buying opportunities following that trigger point again at the beginning of August. So that obviously served as a really good time to enter the market. What we're seeing right now is that, we are at 16. We got done at 10 a couple days ago, which does not happen often. It's been since 2022 since we saw the index get that low. And we generally don't stay there very long. The longest I could see that we stayed in that range was really 2 months at a time back in historically speaking, right? So right now, I mean, it looks to be a fire sale. The market looks to be oversold in extreme fear. And I'd have to say that we haven't bottomed. I mean, there's always potential to move a little bit further down, and we could shop in this range for, we've been here a couple weeks now. So, at the longest, at least historically speaking, maybe another 6 weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if we bounce sooner than that. We'll have to wait and see. But again, this range that we've seen on this chart, looking back in time, has always proven to be a really good time to enter the market or expand positions and add to positions. And then really in this middle period here, in the 40 to 60 range, 30 to 70 range, we see a lot of chopping. Not to say there's not movement, but we see a lot of chopping. That's really the time to be doing the research and finding the plays to move into. Now, I know there's a lot of different thought around taking profits. And I get that. There are going to be people that tell you, oh, well, if you're taking profits, then you don't believe in a project. That's not true. Okay. We are still early enough in crypto that there's a lot of volatility. Okay. And these Depin projects, even if they're shipping, they're doing fantastic work and building on the back end, they're still going to mostly, I'm going to give you an example of one outlier here, but mostly they're going to be impacted and be innocent bystanders when it comes to market corrections like this. Okay. So on one end, you could just ignore this top signal here that was triggered. Okay. And hold, and you would be down on most of your positions 80 to 90% right now. Okay. Or you could de-risk, manage your risk, move into stables, remain patient for a couple months. Now, I will say back here from March till August, I mean, you'd had to remain in stables for 5 months. That takes a lot of patience, but re-entering the market here, even considering that depending on where you live, there's capital gains tax to consider here by selling. But an 80, 90 to 90% drawdown is worse than having to pay capital gains tax. And hopefully we'll see. There's talks about removing capital gains tax on US-based cryptos. I'll believe it when I see it. It could happen. But I have to say, these findings with this chart in particular, and being a leading indicator by a week or two when those levels hit, both on the downside and the upside, it's something I'm going to be taking a lot more seriously moving forward and keeping a close eye on, especially around the market tops. Okay, this is where it's really difficult because emotions get really involved. You look at your X timeline, everyone's so bullish. Everyone's talking about how there's never going to be another bear market, how Bitcoin's never going to drop below this price point, how we're going to see $500,000 Bitcoin this year. All these things start popping up. Everyone gets bullish. They're shilling every project. You have people that 2 years ago told you crypto is a scam. They start texting you out of nowhere, asking you about how to buy crypto. Those are all signs. But thinking back, a lot of that was happening for me right around these time periods. Now, one thing I did mention is that there was an outlier with this, and that is GeoNet. And this is something that, looking forward, I think it's always important to be able to adapt your strategy. And this is no different. Okay. With GeoNet, it's had incredible success. They have real revenue. They have token burns. And I think we're seeing a decoupling from the rest of the market. And I believe this is something we could see with other Depin projects in the future if they have, similar success to GeoNet. But, check this out. If you had sold back in December at that top, it would have been for right around 28 cents. Buying back now, and when you have extreme fear, you'd be buying back at 32 cents, so roughly 10% higher. So in this case, that strategy would not have worked out, right? There would have been a slight loss there. That said, okay, um, that's the only outlier I could find. The rest, we're talking about 80 to 90% drawdowns this last time. Similar drawdowns from March till August. So in almost every other case, virtually every other case, this would have been a very much a winning strategy. So I would recommend, especially when you're feeling super euphoric, taking a look at the fear and greed index, because this can help ground you, help you touch some grass, if you will, and take the emotions out of it to an extent and hold yourself accountable. Okay. Now, my strategy is going to be different than everyone else's strategy, right? Everyone needs to develop their own around this because I have a different risk tolerance. I have different goals than other people, I'm sure. No one's going to be exactly the same here. So, take this for what you will. But I do think it is something that it will be important looking forward as we adapt to future market conditions, because I think that moving forward, I believe things are going to continue to look different. Now, with that said, I'm going to put out a video next on the different reasons why I believe we are going to have another leg up here. I know a lot of people are calling for a bear market. I'm not in that camp. Okay. I think not only because of regulatory stuff, opening up, but I believe we're going to start seeing quantitative easing and interest rates dropping sooner than later. Okay. And I think we're going to see more rate drops this year than people were anticipating. I also believe that this tariff situation is going to get cleared up. I'm going to break down all the details in that video, though, so I'm not going to dive into it any more than that in this video. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and share with your friends and family, other people in the crypto space. The more we can do to get the word out about Depin, the better. As always, I appreciate your viewership. Signing off, this is Bradley Meyer with the Depin Connection.